Hey everyone, this is Jody from Josonja, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the bloom technique. If you've ever watched any of my videos, you know that most of the time I'm on the other side of the camera and I usually voice my stuff over. Just a public service announcement that I have 6 parrots and 5 cats, and they could scream or one could walk in view of the camera at any time. So hope it's not too distracting. Lately, I've been seeing lots and lots of questions about the bloom technique. I've been doing this technique for about a year now, and I did put a video out quite some time ago. And when I did put the video out, we were using Sherwin Williams Ultra Deep Base that you can find at Lowe's. That product has been discontinued. So a lot of the artists in the community have been experimenting and kind of rushing around and trying to figure some stuff out. And it seems like the replacement for that is 2 products. It's Bare 8300 Deep Base, and that's a Home Depot product. I live in Arizona, and that product is not available to me. And it's a state law. I'm not sure what's in it. I wonder what's in it. They don't sell it to us. But I do have another product to show you today, and I'm gonna break this down. I'm gonna make it as easy as possible for you guys, because there's so much information out there. It could be so overwhelming. And I'm going to show you how to make the pouring medium with just 2 ingredients. And we're gonna use a few different paints today. I'm gonna start you guys out with the golden fluid acrylics. And it is the easiest way to start. It was for me. 2 paints can be a little harder finding the right density. This stuff is almost all the same density. We're gonna talk a little bit about opaque and transparent colors, and I'm not gonna leave out pigments, because you look at these blooms and you see the wonderful shimmer in it, and a lot of people are like, what is that from? That's from pigments. And so today I'm going to show you also how to use some pigments. These are Colourarte pigments, one of my favorite pigments. And we're gonna talk about why not to use these pigments alone and how to layer them with other paints. The other thing we're gonna talk about, which was the big secret for a long time, was the cell activator. Now, I found the bloom technique on YouTube, and I had tried a bunch of different recipes, and let me show you what I was getting when I first started. These are still near and dear to my heart. Things that look like this. Oh, actually, yeah, this wasn't too bad, but they mostly looked like this. I had big cracks in my paint. It was just kind of sloppy. So I took the Sheleeart course, and what I learned is that I really needed this. I tried to use the American floetrol with the glue and the wood conditioner, and this is what I was getting. So I broke down, this was before the Fluid Art Company started selling this, and I ordered it. I found it on eBay. Now, everyone's like, yeah, but it's 50 bucks and it's only this big. True, but you only need very little. Now, I am very greedy with my floetrol, and I only make enough for what I think I need for that day. First of all, this works best for me when it's fresh. If I leave it there for 5-6 days, I just feel like it doesn't perform like it does if I just mix it up fresh. We're gonna make 2 cell activators today. We're gonna use Amsterdam titanium white and Australian floetrol. See, I told you, they just can't help themselves. And the golden heavy body carbon black for our cell activators. As I progressed and I started using the Australian floetrol, these were my next tiles. So these were my newbie tiles with the Australian floetrol. Now they're not perfect, but let's kind of take a look at progression. So see, I started getting better cells. Not perfect, but better. Not really blooms, but there were cells in there, so I was pretty happy. Now, it took me a while to, and it's gonna take everyone a while to, maybe not everyone, if you can get this right away, let me know how you did it. But it takes a little bit of effort to, and practice to get this technique right. So start out with these little tiles, Home Depot, 8 cents each. I still practice on them if I'm gonna practice new color palettes. They're great to have around. And then I was, you know, these are some of my first blooms that I actually really liked. So this is one. And when we say it's not perfect, what is a perfect bloom supposed to look like? I don't know. But it's what you like, right? Lots of cells. This too. I have a video on how I did this one. I like this one because I felt like it looked like a butterfly in there. To me, that was just fun. Here's a swipe that I did. So these are very early blooms. Also been having a lot of fun with going to bigger pieces. Here's a fun swipe that I did. This is for my granddaughter's room. She likes these really vibrant colors. This is not finished yet. It needs to get a coat of resin put on it. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna show you how to make the pouring medium. I'm gonna show you how to make the cell activator, and then we're gonna work on a few different techniques. We are going to do the blow. Then I'm going to show you how to do it with the Yihoo hairdryer, which is my go-to because I'm not that great at the blow. You might want to look at some of the artists. Mitchell Grama from Sheleeart does a really good blow. Lisa Marvin does a really good blow. I'll show you how I do it, and it's all right. But I do like the Yihoo hairdryer. So I do like trying to share and educate and just kind of touch base and show you what I know, and you can share back, and you can tell me what you like, and you can comment in this video and tell me if you have any ideas. But let's just make this real simple today, and I'm gonna go in my garage. That's where I actually paint until it becomes 115, which will be soon, and then I'll be back inside, and let's get it started. All right, guys, see you soon. Hair's gotta go up. Hey everyone, the first product we're going to be using for our pouring medium is the Sherwin Williams Infinity. This is in base C. When you open it up, it's going to be separated, and you really have to stir it. It's got a very thick consistency to it. Now, even though it appears to be a little white, don't worry, it will dry clear. So I'm going to be taking a tablespoon and putting in each one of my cups. Now, the recipe that I'm giving you is 50-50, so you can put as much as you like in there. I'm just making a little amount of paint today for the purpose of demonstration. So you want to scrape everything out because you want your ratios to be pretty even. What's important is that your paint consistencies are the same. So if you prefer your paint a little thinner, that's okay, as long as the paint consistencies are all the same. You can't have one thick paint and one thin paint. So here I'm just getting the rest of the untinted house paint off, and I'm going to be using the Josonja varnish. Now, it's supposed to be the gloss varnish. This is the matte varnish, and I inadvertently bought this. It does work. It dries a little bit matte, but I'm going to varnish my pieces, and for all intensive purposes today of just showing a educational video, it's going to be okay. So we want to really mix these two products together, and you're going to stir and stir and stir and stir and stir until the consistency is like warm honey. Now, I like my paints on the thinner side, so this recipe works for me. Now, for you, if you like your paints a little bit thicker, you can add a little bit less Josonja. But just make sure that all of your paints are the same consistency. When you're doing a bloom, what's most important to know is that the pillow paint is the thickest, then the paints, and the cell activator is the thinnest. So we're just going to give these a good stir. And we're going to be working with those golden fluid acrylics. So this one is the Quinacridone magenta. If you look on the bottom of the label, it'll have a little box. If the box has nothing in it, it's a transparent paint. If it has it's half filled and it's semi-transparent, and if it's solid, it's opaque. So we're going to be using a transparent and an opaque color today, and I'll tell you why. Because I like putting an opaque color on the very bottom of my bloom. If you put a transparent color, it can definitely get lost in translation. So this is the dioxazine purple. This is an opaque color. It also has a little scale on the back too that tells you the viscosity of the paint as well. So you really wanted to give these a good stir, scrape the sides, get everything good and mixed up. Normally I would probably mix these for even longer, but since I didn't want everyone to lose their will to live watching me mix paints, I kind of sped it up a little bit today. I also usually let my paint sit overnight so there's no bubbles. So as you can see, it runs off the stick without breaking up. It creates a small puddle and disappears quickly. Up next, we're going to be using our pigments. Most pigments are transparent colors as well. They do add a lot of shimmer, a lot of beauty to your artwork, and I really like working with pigments. But one thing about pigments, in my experience, don't just use pigments. You want to use a mixture of paints and pigments. This first pigment I'm using is Moonbeams. This is part of the Primary Elements collection by Colourarte. And you're gonna they give you these cute little teaspoons. You're gonna just use a nice heaping teaspoon in there. And this one is Nebula Star. Also, Colourarte can be very deceptive because you'll look at the bottle and the color that you get can be completely different. So some of the reds actually look brown when you get them in the bottle. Now what you want to do is you want to wet the pigments. So I'm going to take a little bit of the Josonja, just a tiny bit, and I'm just going to pour it on the top, and now I'm going to just mix them up. We just want them wet. And I forgot to tell you, when I'm using the golden fluid acrylics to 2 tablespoons of pouring medium, I usually use about 1/4 teaspoon of paint. I was eyeballing it because I've been doing it so long that I just kind of know how much paint goes in there. So with the pigments, here we are again. We're just really mixing them up, scraping the sides, just getting them ready to receive the pouring medium. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do what we just did. We're going to take a tablespoon of the Sherwin Williams. We're going to put that right on the top. Scrape it out. And next we're going to just put the Josonja right on top of that. One tablespoon, so like I said, I'm using 50-50 today. Now I'm going to get this mixed. I'm going to check my consistencies. You really want to mix up your pigments as well. And stir and make sure you scrape the sides and the bottom. And I'm checking it, and it appears to be the same consistency as the golden high fluid acrylic. So you can always, if you want your paint a little thicker, you can also add just a tiny bit of tube paint as well. That works really well. So I'm just really scraping the sides. And pretty much there we have it. We've just made 4 colors. Up next, we are going to be making the cell activator. So I have 2 cups, one for the white and one for the black. And like I said, I don't make a lot of cell activator because I don't know if I'm going to paint the next day. So make sure that you give it a good shake up before. And what you're going to do is you're going to measure 3 teaspoons, tablespoons, whatever measurement you have in 1 cup, and then you're going to measure 4 in the other. So for the white cell activator, we're going to be using a 3-to-1 measurement. So remember, you can be using a tablespoon, a teaspoon, it doesn't matter. That's the ratio. So here I'm just going to add my Amsterdam white, the titanium white, and I find this paint works the best. There are other titanium whites, but this one seems to really work for cell activator. So we're going to just dump that in. And wiping it out, because we don't want to get any white in the black or black in the white. So I break it. Perfection. And I'm going to use it anyway. So the reason why I put that in the floetrol is because when you put the paint on the utensil, it'll help it slide off. It's easier to clean. So see, you just give it a little tap and it plops right out. And we'll be throwing that away. So these also need to be stirred up really well. The golden heavy body carbon that I'm using for the black cell activator appears to be super lumpy when you're first mixing it up. Don't think you did it wrong or don't think you have the right paint. It just takes a lot of stirring. So be patient, put on a good song, and keep stirring. It's almost lumpy when you first start, but it will smooth out. Now, the black cell activator is different than the white cell activator in consistency. It is more like glue. You'll see when you make it, but it still works. See, it doesn't even like really fall off of the stick. What I do as well is I add some of the high flow carbon black to my black cell activator as well. It helps to make it a little bit more fluid, and I just feel like it works better. So the white cell activator, when you whip it up, it's going to be fluffy. That's the only word I can use to describe it. And it doesn't take as much work to get this mixed together. And this is going to be your thinnest product. The thinnest one is going to go on the top. It's going to be able to let you blow that cell activator over the other colors. That chemical reaction is what's going to create those cells. So we're just closing some things up. I'm going to get that black high fluid. Sorry for the short shorts. Didn't think anyone was going to see those. So I'm just grabbing that, and that's the high fluid. And basically I put like 5 or 6 drops in there. Because I like it just a little bit thinner. Some people actually use 5-to-1 for the cell activator for the black golden heavy body, but start with 4-to-1 and you can kind of tweak it from there. So we're going to give this a good mix as well. And now we're ready to paint. So I'm working on a little 4x4 canvas. I had a bunch of these and I thought it would be good to use these today to show you a little bloom. So I'm using the Color Place white satin. This is by Walmart. And you're just going to put enough pillow on there. You don't want it to go over the edge. If it does, it's not the end of the world, but you want to try to keep it in the middle and just a nice little pillow. The first color I'm going to be putting down is that dioxazine purple, and that is the opaque color that we talked about. Purple strong can take over a painting, so I expect to see a lot of purple here. Up next, we're going to be using that Colourarte pigment. This was Nebula Star. And we're just making little circles of paint. Here we're using the Quinacridone Magenta by Golden. And lastly, we're going to be using the Moonbeams by Colourarte. Now, if you noticed, I actually layered the pigments and the paint. Now we're going to put on the cell activator. So I put my cell activator down pretty slow because I don't like to plop it all right in the middle because it could sink. So I try to spread it out relatively evenly. Probably could have done a better job here. I usually use a little spoon. I usually don't use the craft stick. So this is my blow. It's not impressive, but so I'm going to try to blow straight down just to get the paint moving. And now I'm going to try to blow sideways out. Some people can blow straight through. I can't. So I'm trying to blow that cell activator over the other paints to create a chemical reaction. Now, this is not one of my better blows. So as you can see, I'm just trying to blow that white out. It's a little on the awful side, but we're going to work with this today. So as you can see, I did get some cells, and there's some good lacing going on there. So now I'm going to just blow some of the petals out. As you can see, there's a lot of purple, but some of that other color is underneath. So when you're blowing it, you'll see some other colors coming up. And you can kind of blow it out any way you want. You don't have to blow petals. Whatever you feel you want to do that day, just have fun with it. So I'm just going to spin this out quick. And I like using the spinner because the paint moves from the center. With the spinner also, you can see which way the paint is going too. So if you have a lot of cells on one side that you want to keep, you can kind of keep the spinner going in the opposite direction. So now let's take a look and see what we have here. And it's not my best, but it's not terrible. As you can see, we have some cells. We have some good lacing in there. Sometimes I tilt it if the paint didn't get all the way to the corners. But be careful when you're tilting that you don't lose the composition. So there we have it, our first little bloom. Like I said, it's okay. And we're going to move on now to the next bloom using a double cell activator. We're going to be using the black and the white. Just finishing this up. And here we are. So again, we're just putting down the white pillow paint. And we're going to be using the hairdryer this time. And I'm a lot better with the hairdryer than I am with the blow. So the Yihoo hairdryer, you can get it on Amazon. It's not terribly expensive. As you can see, I have some big disgusting thing in the middle of my paint. Yay. So yes, the Yihoo hairdryer is small, it's easy to handle, and there's a little bit of a technique to it. And I'll show you how I have pretty good success with it. So again, we're just putting down the dioxazine purple. This time I'm going to change the order a little bit. This time I put down the Quinacridone magenta on top of that. Same colors as we used in the other painting. Nebula Star. We're going to top this off with Moonbeams. And now we're going to do a double cell activator, and all that means is one cell activator on top of the other. So I'm going to put down the black cell activator first. And again, do you see how I just don't throw it down in the middle? Because especially with the black, it'll all stay there. So you kind of have to just almost layer it on there. Up next, I'm going to put that white cell activator right on top of the black cell activator. Now with the Yihoo hairdryer that I have coming up, one of my biggest tips that I have for you is to put your hand on the bottom of the blow dryer before you turn it on. So I'm going to show it to you right now. Here's the hairdryer. And I put my hand on the bottom, and I look for the air. I turn it on and I look to make sure that the air is blowing directly over the cell activator. And as you can see right away, we have some good cells coming up. There seems to be a lot of cell activator left in the middle, but don't worry so much about that because the pillow paint is going to contract together again. And if there's too much, you can actually try blowing on the cell activator, but don't blow really hard because what's going to happen is if there's no paint under there, you're just going to blow into the pillow paint. So you give it a minute, and while I'm waiting, I'm just going to kind of blow some of the sides out a little bit. Spreading the paint out. Now let's take a closer look. We do have some good cells going on in there. And I'm just going to spin this. And it's starting to open up nice. And you can get a spinner from anywhere. You can get it from a cake shop, from a craft store. You can order one off of Amazon. This is my tiny spinner. I have a bigger spinner for bigger pieces. So now I didn't get the edges, the corners covered in one. So I'm just going to tilt that really slow because I don't want to lose the composition of this. And as you can see, we have some great colors going on in there. A little bit of white cell activator in the middle, but it's kind of cool. It looks like a lightning bolt through it, right? And I do like the composition of this. So let's get a closer look here. And we have lots of cells going on in there. Some good strong lacing. I like the colors on the edges as well. So just wiping the paint off. It's a little tiny canvas. It's very cute. If you like what you saw today, please like and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them. Thanks for watching, guys.